when it comes to Drake. I didn't even know I was recording. Yo, I didn't even know I was recording. Oh my god. It's like I did. I'm just trying to be funny. We're about to react to this video. Oh, I'm so corny. I'm so corny. I'm so corny. I'm so corny. Hey, look, man. Shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop. I will leave a link in the description. How Drake just officially exposed you. Oh, yeah. This is a ghostwriting joint. Uh-oh. Another joint. Another joint. Another joint. Listen, y'all know I like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
Now, when it comes to Drake, there is no more running for this guy, and he can no longer hide from the truth, because despite what OVO and his fans have tried to cover up,
it's
with
evidence.
The newest leaks that are trying to tell us that Drake has not even wrote his most personal lyrical songs like his timestamp records, despite what they want to tell you, there has never been more proof that Drake is really the biggest fraud in hip-hop, and that everything he has ever stood for is a sheer and utter lie. Because from digging into the origin of these reference tracks to using Drake's own position and comments about how he used to be treated in the music industry against him, we can finally clearly see more than ever that Drake was never an artist and really was only ever a brand. And now, before we go any further into this and expose Drake and his credibility as an MC in a way that is gonna change your perception of his entire career, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as this story is gonna change everything and Drake and his fans don't want people to know what's going on here, really, it has never been more important to leave that like. And so now, with that said, when it comes to Drake, when the 3 reference tracks leaked from a rapper who is known by names like Moolah and Chapo, Drake fans and others—
That's the name I keep hearing about. That's the name I keep hearing about, this Chapo dude. Who's the Chapo guy? We gotta get to the bottom of this, y'all.
To write these off as being fake without any—
Drake can't keep getting away with this. We can't keep letting him get away with this. Who's the El Chapo guy?
Other thought about it, and some even believed it was so ridiculous that they tried—
There it is. A reference track for Kendrick Lamar's Swimming Pools was recently lit. Okay, that's not the El Chapo. We gotta look for the El Chapo guy.
Tried making little jokes that classic Kendrick Lamar songs had reference tracks just like these. Well, now the time for joking is over for these guys, because both from diving—
Oh yeah, I was watching Jay Black. He had a reference track, a Kendrick Lamar reference track. The dude was like, "Who's full of liquor, down in it, pool full of liquor, and down in it." Man, listen, you wouldn't even be able to create a Kendrick Lamar reference track because the muscle memory in your tongue, in your mouth, you can't even say those words the way he say it. You can't do those rhymes. The only thing you would be able to do, try to make a reference track with Kendrick Lamar is a hook. You can't do it, you can't do all them little tongue twisters and shit like that, yeah.
Into this further, and seeing what other people have been able to dig up on this situation together. Overall, after seeing the real story behind these reference tracks and seeing who they are actually coming from, it is going to be hard for anybody to sit down and say that these are not real. And again, if this was another artist, maybe it would be a different story. But especially as we know there has been such a long history of Drake doing these things already, as just to lay out the groundwork of Drake's ghostwriting, if we go through his catalog, from If You're Reading This It's Too Late to Scorpion to Her Loss to For All the Dogs, there has been reference tracks from various songs on all of those albums that have come out and that we have all heard. I mean, the guy's already got a horrible reputation for these things, and now adding to this all-time awful track record. With these 3 new
like I said in the previous video, this is just what we know. Imagine the stuff we don't know, y'all. Come on, man. Like, yo, where do Drake get the time to write? He don't have no time to write because he always in everybody's face. The only person who got time to write is Dot, because he ain't always in our face. At least you like put that together. You know what I'm saying? Like Drake always in our face. It takes time to write and come up with bars. Bro, you always in our face, bro. Nah.
Reference tracks in question, which of course are from the songs 5 a.m. in Toronto, 4 p.m. in Calabasas, and Draft Day. which of course are all considered some of the most essential lyrical performances Drake has ever delivered. It's really looking terrible for Drake in terms of anybody believing that these songs came from the same pen that he wrote the Hard Part 6 with. And now the reason really why a lot of this is because one guy has connected the dots between the faint and mysterious tracks that nobody else knew what to do with. And who I am talking about is a guy who goes by the name of Real Jay Nolan.
We got somebody, y'all. We got somebody.
Guy who goes by the name of Real.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's him, y'all. That's him. He's the guy. Damn. That's the guy. That's the guy, y'all.
Real Jay Nolan. And right now, his findings about this entire situation are really starting to gain a lot of traction because he did some of the best work on finding some super small details that are just changing the perception of all of this. And with that said, make sure to support this guy and check him out everywhere because
yeah, that's the guy that everybody reacting to his video. The video, yeah, matter of fact, we about to do that next. We about to do that. Hey, Fantastic Hip Hop, I might cut this short. Yeah, we gonna have to do that next. We gonna do that next. Yeah, we up on it. We gonna see what Fantastic Hip Hop got to say again. Oh, real, that's him. That's him. That's him.
He is great at what he does, and so how he has helped expose the mystery of all of this and make things for Drake look worse than
he experienced. You gotta have experience like that. He experienced.
Never is by showing everybody that the rapper who made these tracks isn't just a random guy who came from out of nowhere and is doing all of this for clout, but that he actually has a real history in the music industry. As first off, Moolah was a guy who used to be signed to Harvey Mason Jr., who currently is the head of the Recording Academy, so in of that self, that tells you a lot. And what it turns out to be is that this guy has worked in the industry for quite some time. He's a professional.
So he ain't gotta lie. He ain't gonna be lying. People who been in there and they don't be lying, but they ain't gotta lie. They already been around, you know, the movers and shakers and all that. You know what I mean?
Professional writer who has worked with a ton of big artists. And so considering connections in the industry he has, what we can say at the very least is that most people would not make things like these up because they can ruin their entire reputation with what they are doing. But now beyond just that, and the finding about this rapper from Jay Nolan that tells us the most here, is that this MC who goes by names like Chapo and Moolah used to work very closely with none other than Boy Wonder. And of course, Boy Wonder is one of Drake's go-to producers, and Drake has been with him since the start of his career. And after there were real logs and timestamps of this guy and Boy Wonder's friendship, and even finding out that the two were working on an entire collab record at a time, altogether from having real connections in the industry with some of the biggest people in it, to literally working with someone who is as close to Drake as you could be. I mean, you tell me what's going on here, and overall, with there being a real story to back everything Moolah has told us up, these reference tracks do seem like they have every reason to be real, and how if Drake never had any other run-ins with being caught using Ghostwriters before this, maybe this conversation would end here and we could give him a pass. But again, with us seeing this exact same story over and over again, this really seems to fall in line with situations that happen with people like Quentin Miller, and this guy really just seems to be another person who ended up being the pen for Drake. Now beyond all of this, which is already working against the biggest loser in him,
I think Fantastic on not Fantastic, but Rapper Hall is gonna do a little documentary on Quentin Miller.
But just adding more validity to the idea that Drake has been deceiving us for so long, and that for a while, the way he has presented and even released music is not even to function as an artist, but just a brand. If we go back a little before the beef and the downfall of Drake, really in the ladder of Drake's own label and what artists were most important, Drake was considered one of the top guys, and really the only person who was ever clearly in front of him was Taylor Swift. And understanding how much the industry used to push Drake at every chance they got. And
told you, always in our face. People start complaining. Oh, what's going on with my Spotify? What's playlist? What's the playlist? Well, why he keep popping up? Who is this ninja keep popping? Told you, bro. How you get time to write, bro? You always in somebody's face.
Seeing how Drake's stardom was so big at a point that he really started to neglect rap when it came to the big records he was making, and was trying to be as much of a pop star as he could have been. Just knowing—
oh, he a pop star. He always popping up in somebody's goddamn face.
How the biggest names in the industry, like Taylor Swift, have access to the top writing and talent teams because they are so important to the entirety of the music world. that the label gives them every single resource possible to make sure that their songs never fail. I mean, just off this premise alone, it doesn't seem that far off that Drake would have the same resources working for him, because even—
Y'all hear that? They get every single resource. Now, when you going against the people that give you those resources, that gives you financial backing to get those resources, Lucian Grainge and them, right? UMG, and you mess everything up. Now you got SSS songs for you. That's trash. Get out of here.
In rap itself, when we compare Drake to big commercial rappers who may have leaned more into the pop side of things like him, or just in general made highly chart-friendly music that appealed to wider audiences than traditional hip-hop did, with someone like Post Malone, for example, who in terms of making mega songs was right there with Drake, and we knew that he was using Ghostwriters on a track like Rockstar. I mean, as these two around their peaks were pretty much the exact same archetype of rapper and were doing the same things in their own way for the industry, again, if we know someone like Post was using writers, it's not that far off to say that Drake has been this whole time. And beyond all the stuff about the industry, as rap fans, I don't think we learned more about Drake's actual skill set as a writer than when he was in his beef with Kendrick. Because clearly you could see that between Push-Ups and Family Matters to then The Hard Part 6, Drake was just not able to deliver a performance that even made sense compared to his own lyrical standards. And again, when we question in the beef—
remember, Drake said he was about to go on vacation before that beef. So what you think he told his ghostwriters? Hey, we're going to be taking a little while off. We're going to be taking a little break, right? That's what happened. This dude poked his neck out and said something to Dot, but he told his ghostwriters, look, go and take a vacation. Y'all gonna take a time off, right? So now he went up in there with Dot. So he like, yo, where y'all at? Where y'all at? He said, where y'all at? They said, dude, I thought you said take a time off. Nah, he said, I need y'all. He said, hey, look, we on vacation, ninja. We on vacation. We can't do nothing for you. Can't do. Yeah. He had to write that stuff by himself. Oh, man.
Why Drake never released an actual track of just pure bars like a timestamp record, you have to wonder if it was because he couldn't get caught using ghostwriters in the most pivotal moment he was ever a part of, and especially with The Hard Part 6 and how that turned out. Seeing how quickly that record was put out, you have to question if it failed as much as it did, because he could not get others—
Dennis helped him write that shit, man. Dennis helped him write that. Dennis and 40.
To write a better track for him. And for me, I do think this is the exact case of what happened here, because when you just track the history of Drake's pen, and just to add more reference, compare it to any other rapper who is known as—
All right, I'm anxious, y'all. I gotta get to that video where the dude explained all the ghostwriting and stuff. I gotta get that. I seen Screwface react to it. Who else? Man, that joint going viral. I gotta get to it right now. I gotta see it. I ain't even see it. But yeah, I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this. Shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop. Y'all make sure y'all show me some love and get me up to it. Y'all think y'all get me to 1,000 likes? Y'all think I get 1,000? Y'all think I get 1,000? 1,000? Wow. Y'all gonna get me to 1,000 likes somehow. You know what I'm saying? Gonna look out for your boy. Yeah. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Big Kish signing out. I'm going, y'all.